on top of that, right, in terms of starting out with that negativity that's inside your head, okay, if we've reversed that and you have positive thoughts, you have engaging mindset, you have this thing that, hey, things are going to work out in my way. Well, then you are going to take practice at a different level because you feel like, hey, there's opportunities out there. And if you practice at a really high level, then you'll end up prospecting aggressively. Okay. Which, if you prospect aggressively, you're putting yourself in position to generate more transactions, which then generates more income, which then feeds into that positive mindset you had from the beginning. Again, same cycle. So it's interesting. There's two cycles that we can go through. Two cycles that we can go through. They all, both of them flow perfectly, but they all start with what is going on inside your head, and it feeds the rest of that cycle. Is this making sense so far for everybody? Okay. So you have to really start with what is going on inside your head if you're going to generate anything. And this is not just a sales thing. Okay. For those of you that watch sports, you'll see someone go shoot free throws, and it's all of a sudden they can't shoot free throws anymore. Or a hitter just all of a sudden is just in this massive slump, and it's like, well, what happened? Like, you didn't forget how to play the sport. It's just mentally they got screwed up somewhere. and now they don't have the confidence when they're swinging the bat. They don't have the confidence when they're shooting the free throw, and it's a mental block that people go through in all aspects of life. It's not just a sales thing. So this is something that helps you everywhere you go, and whatever it is that you're going to do. So you've got to start with the mindset in order to take action and generate some positive results. So then we get into, okay, Robert, but how do you continuously have this positive mindset? There's so many things going on, right? That could possibly affect that. Well, I wrote down a couple notes here, okay, in terms of keeping things in a positive manner. So first thing I wrote down here is there should not be anything in your head causing negativity that you have no control over. There should be nothing in your head causing negativity that you have no control over. So let me give you some examples. Do you have any control over the interest rates? No. So therefore, interest rates should never occupy any negativity inside your head. You have no control over that. So why do you let it bother you? Do you have any control over politics? Nope. No, I know some of you like to think that you do. Let's see how many people left after that one. Uh, you know, but you really don't have any control over that. So why do you let it occupy your head? Do you have any control over prices? No. Why do you let it occupy your head? If those are things you have no control over, why would you let it occupy your head? I had a conversation with someone the other day. It was really interesting. I don't, not a political person. I don't get involved with it because I don't care, right? But someone was making some political statements, and they were really, and it was just, oh, is this, and I said, it's interesting. I said, the person that you're talking about, have you ever met him? No, never met him, ever. So you're letting someone that you've never met, that you don't know personally, occupy so much of your brain space in a negative way. That just blows my mind. I said, do you think that person stays up at night thinking about you? They said, no, they don't even know who I am. I said, why do you let it occupy so much of your mind? Why do you let it occupy so much of your mental space? This negativity that you have, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So, part of keeping this positivity, this high energy, this great flow is you got to eliminate stuff that's out of your control, occupying your head. Okay. Because that's where a lot of that negativity comes from. Oh, well, the market's so tough. Interest rates are too high. Can't control interest rates. Why is that occupying your brain? What are you going to do about it? Oh, I hate this person or I hate that person. Nothing you can do about it. Why does it occupy so much of your brain? Get it out of, get rid of it. And now let's fill in the things you can control. So, what are things you can control? Can you control the actions you take on a daily basis? Is that something you can control? Yeah, that's something you can control. Can you control your skills when it comes to being a real estate agent? Can you control that? Yeah, you can control that. Okay, so you could control your actions, you could control your skills. Okay, can you control, for the most part, all jokes aside, can you control your schedule? Yeah, for the most part, you can, as long as you create a schedule that's realistic. Okay, because some people go, well, I can't control my schedule. I've got kids. Okay, well, just schedule. I'm talking about a realistic schedule. You could control all those things. So guess what? Why don't you focus on the things you can control? So instead of focusing on politics, economy, global stuff, interest rates, things that aren't in your control that are occupying so much of your space in a negative way, why don't you think about mainly, here are the activities I'm going to do? Gosh, I'm so excited about getting up. I've got my schedule in place. I'm going to do these activities. I'm going to work on my skills. And because I do that, I'm going to generate this. That should occupy your space all day. Eliminate the stuff that you can't control. Should not occupy any part of your brain. It's there, yeah, but your activities and skills overcome the fact that interest rates are high right now? Can you generate business if you have high skills and high activities, even though interest rates are? Yes, you can, if you focus on that. But if all you're focusing on is that interest rates are high, it's not going to work. So start by thinking some of those things. What is occupying your brain, and why is it stuff that's out of your control that's occupying your brain as opposed to the stuff that's in your control? Right? So start by thinking about those types of things. The other thing I wrote down here when it comes to keeping that positive mindset, because again, if you just join us, we started with there's two different workflows you can go through. One of the other things you can think about by keeping a positive mindset is you can't just let anyone have access to it. So here's what I mean. Let me paint a story for you. What's interesting is we have locks and security systems for damn near everything. We have a security system for our house, right? We got cameras, security systems. We have a security system for our jewelry, right? Or any valuable items, right? There's a lock that it goes in, things along those lines. Heck, we have alarms for our cars, right? Can't break into the car. We even have locks for the gym. So we're going to the gym where, we've got all these, sweaty, dirty clothes. We put them in a locker. We put this lock on that needs bolts to cut it open. Don't take my dirty gym clothes. Okay. But we have no locks and no security system on our heads. That's open to everybody, which is wild to think about. Because of all the things I just mentioned, it's the only thing that's not replaceable. If you steal my car, if I didn't put a lock on my car and you stole it, I'll just go get a new car. If I didn't put a lock on my jewelry and somehow you got into my house and you took my rings, my wedding ring, or you took my necklace or my wife's necklace or anything like that, I'll just go buy another one. Okay? You break into my gym locker and you steal my gym clothes, weirdo. I'll just go buy more gym clothes. But you break into my mind and you get access to that. What am I going to do? I can't go buy a new one of those. I can't just go replace that. But yet it's the only thing we don't have a security system on. We don't have alarms. We don't have locks on that. So what you need to do is you need to get your best security system. The greatest security system you could ever think about needs to be on your head, not on your car. not on your jewelry. It needs to be here. I can't replace this. So put that security system in there that doesn't allow thieves inside. And I'm not talking about the thieves of jewelry and cars. I'm talking about the thieves of your positive thoughts, the thieves of your dreams, the thieves of your goals, the thieves of your just great mental attitude and energy. Those thieves. Put a security system on your head that prevents those thieves from getting in. Okay, that's what you got to do, because part of the reason we don't have a positive mindset is because we let too many people in here. I want to tell you all something, and I'm dead serious when I say this. It's okay to not have a lot of friends. Some of you are just like, oh, but I've known these people for years. So every time you see them, you can't wait to get rid of them. Just get rid of them. This guy, he's been a friend of mine for years, but gosh, every time I see him now, it's just, oh, it's exhausting. Why do you let him in? Okay. It's okay to not have a lot of friends. Oh, but they're family. Give me a break. Your mom and your dad, depending on your upbringing, for the most part, are allowed to be a pain in the ass. They raised you. They had to deal with everything that came with you. Yeah, they're allowed. Okay. Your kids, you know, you can't really, you got to do what you can with your kids. But, oh, that's my aunt, my uncles, my cousins, my nephews, my brothers, my sisters. Oh my gosh, they're just so negative, but they're family. Give me a break. Move on. You're letting too many thieves into your head. You should be surrounding yourself with only positive people that encourage you, that support you, that are feeding positive things inside your head, that are giving you value. Nobody is worth what they are putting inside your head. Nobody's worth that. Nobody. Your brother, who is again your brother, your family, but every time you see him is negative and hateful and spews all kinds of crap. Not worth it. Not worth it what it does to you and your mindset and your business and your life and all those things. You've got to protect this security system. All right. So we talked about don't put anything in there. Don't let anything that's out of your control occupy any of that space. Now we talked about putting a security system on there so you don't let the thieves in to steal your thoughts, dreams, hopes, and things like that. This is how you keep the positive things going, right? This is how you keep that happening. All right. Questions? Anything I've gone over so far?
Can you give us an example of a security system?
Well, it's kind of a made up security system, but you just have to be able to identify when something's coming in that you don't want to be a part of and then instantly walking away from it. So let's say that I'm at a social event. Okay, it was the 4th of July this last weekend. Let's say that you were at a function, whether it be family, friends, whatever, and someone and so, hey, how's it going? Oh, well, this. Instantly, a security system, an alarm should go off, go beep, 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 beep. Nope, we reject this and say, okay, great, sounds good, and then walk away. Okay, you've got to have like that alarm system that feeds that negativity that hits you when you know when someone's spewing negativity, it beeps and you're off. You don't. Well, I don't want to be rude. No, no, no. You're being rude to me by ruining my mind. That's the way I see it. Oh, that's rude to just walk away. No, no, you're being rude to me. You are infiltrating my mind, my positive thoughts. You're being rude to me. I'm not being rude to you. I'm protecting myself by walking away. That's how I see it. Instead of just like, well, I guess I'll just sit here and let them rant for. No, my alarm system went off. I see a phone call. Everybody has phone people in their phones. Look at, be honest. How many people have phone number people saved in their phone only so you know when it's them they call and you can ignore it? You know you do, you lying group of people. You liars. You have people saved in your phone for the sole purpose that you know it's them when they call so you can ignore the call. All right. That's an alarm system, right? So I have someone in my life. I'm not going to mention who they are, but it's someone that I have to keep around. Okay. That but does like to be very drama, kind of negative, things like that. If they call me in the morning, there is no shot in hell I'm answering that phone call. That is a phone call that I will return at 9:30 when my daughter's gone to sleep and I'm a couple drinks in. Okay? That is when that is when that phone call
I'm
will
sorry,
take
Robert. I
place.
won't call you no more.
Never you, Armin. Never you, baby. I always answer the calls if I'm available. Uh but but that's the case. So my security system tees off going beep beep. Nope, this is going to be negative. Don't allow that to happen in the morning. That leave that call for later. Right. So you got to have that. You got to have that type of a security system when you see something coming, like, no, let me get out of it. You know that you get invited to something that you know is not going to be something you want to be around. You got to have that security system that blinks. It says, no, 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 just say no. Just reject it. Okay. It's not worth it. All right. So you got to have that in place. It's important. And it's hard because sometimes we run into scenarios where it's like, well, Robert, how am I going to have this conversation with people? How do I just, I know the people you're talking about, but I can't just get rid of them. Yeah, you can. I mean, you can. You could be very direct about it. I had to have tough conversations with people. I remember being 26 years old, right? I'm working, trying to build something, and I still had friends going, "Hey, what are you doing for spring break?" I'm like, we're 26. Why are you still in school? More the question. Should be a doctor by now. Okay. So I had to have real conversation with some of them. And I was honest with say, hey, look, we can be cool with each other, but it's just career wise, we're on different paths. Okay. So don't be upset if, I'm not around as much. I had to have those conversations. And then some people you can just actively avoid, right? If you don't want to have those tough conversations, just stop showing up to events, stop participating in certain things. And then everyone kind of eventually goes their separate ways. Right. But you got to have those types of things. So, okay. So now we've talked about, all right, we're keeping that positive going here. Don't let things that are out of your control infiltrate your mind. Don't let the thieves in there have the security system there. The next thing I wrote down here to keep the positive things going is you need to have a strong connection with both your personal and professional goals. You need to have a strong connection with your personal and professional goals. Okay. So here's what I mean by that is on your professional side, like what are the goals that you want to accomplish, right? What is it that you really want to get out of being a real estate agent, an investor, or whatever it is that you're trying to do? What are the professional goals, business goals that you would like to accomplish? And then connect those to the personal goals that you would like to accomplish. Okay, because you have to connect the two. The business goals generate the money that bring the things for the personal goals. So that brings oh, I want to pay off the house. I want to be debt free. I want to buy this nice car. I want to buy this nice house. I'd love to go on this lavish vacation. I'd love to set up some savings for this for my kids or pay off my parents' house or whatever it may be. But you need to have a strong connection to that because the stronger the connection you have to your professional and your personal goals, the harder it is for any negativity to get in here because you're like, I can't allow it to. I have too much on the line. See, one of the reasons we let the negative stuff sink in is we don't feel like there's not enough on the line. There's not enough to risk yet. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Have at it. So what if I don't, succeed in real estate? So what if I don't make enough money to do this? So what? So what? So what? You haven't connected your goals enough. There's not enough on the line for you. There's not enough risk for you. You need to get that risk up. You need to make it to where these are my professional goals. These are my personal goals. I am strong. These are connected to me. When you can do that, the risk of not doing it is too high. There's too much on the line. So it's like, dude, I can't let any of this go through. I have to make this work. I've got to make sure that I hit this so we can accomplish this. I don't have time for this negative stuff. I've got to go practice. I don't have time for this negative stuff. I've got to go prospect for business. I need another listing. I need another escrow. I need to increase my price point. I need to lose weight. I need to do whatever it is. I need to work on my heart conditions. I need to do whatever it is that is in your goals. You can't allow that negativity to get in there. But if you can have that strong connection to your personal and professional goals, it's harder to break in. It's harder to break in. So, what I would challenge everybody to do here is I know that we've talked about goals and things like that before, and hey, it's a great time because it's the second half of the year. Is I'd like, rewrite your business goals. Not just for rewrite your goals for the next 6 months, but write your business goals for the next 3 years. 5 years, if you want to even expand out to 10 years, right? What are the 6 months, 12 months, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year business goals you'd like to accomplish? Right? Like write them down, get them excited, and then connect that with the personal goals. What are the personal goals you'd like to accomplish in the next 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? What would you like to accomplish? Okay. But this is not something that should take 2 minutes. It doesn't have to take an hour. But put some thought into it because that you got to have the connections on there. Here's what I mean by putting some thought into this is, well, here, Robert, in 3 years, I'd love to have a bigger house. Okay, well, that's not really going to drive you. Where? Where's the house going to be? How big? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Square footage? Paint a picture of the house. If you can find a picture of the house, that's even better. But like, really describe the house that you want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Really describe your situation. That's how you get that connection with it. And then you'll get excited about doing the activities. All right. So reconnect with your goals. Write new ones. Be excited about it. And then share your goals. Because here's the thing, we're going back to, right, surrounding yourself with positive, encouraging people that support you. So when you rewrite your goals, stuff that excites you, share it with people so that they're along with the ride. And when you share it with people, if you find that they're supportive and going, wow, that's great, good for you, then you know you've got a keeper there. And if you share it with someone and they're going, oh man, you're going to try to accomplish that in 3 years, then it's like, F you, right? And if you don't want to say that, just give me their number, I'll say it for you. Okay. On behalf of so and so, F you. You are not supporting their dreams. All right. It's funny how that stuff works out sometimes, though. But reconnect with your goals. Now, because here's the other thing, and here's the next note I wrote down on trying to keep things positive, right? Keeping things there. But the goals kind of relate to this. You've got to make this fun. You've got to find a way to make this fun because what sometimes where the negative mindset comes from is it's just constantly a grind. I'm constantly grinding. It's just a grind all the time, right? We use that word, it's just a grind all the time. And you get burnt out. And when you get burnt out, and it's really hard to block out the negativity inside of your head, the burnout is a real thing. So you've got to find a way to keep this fun. Well, the goals, if you have some exciting goals, that keeps it fun because then you kind of see yourself on the path to accomplishing that goal. I mean, anyone here ever set a goal that was kind of a big goal for them and you reached it? Okay. Isn't that fun? Is that exciting going on that journey, right? We're like, holy crap, I might actually pull this off. I mean, I wrote it down. It was exciting, but I didn't know if I was actually going to do it. That's what makes it fun. It's like you see it happening in real time. So that's part of what the goal is, but you got to find a way to have some fun with this. Okay. Fun in life, fun at work, things along those lines. I say all the time, nobody says this can't be fun, right? Because we do things and we try to laugh and make the most of it. And yeah, it is serious. And look, I'm obviously certainly amongst our leadership team, I am the most intense amongst the crew, right? I don't shy away from that, but I laugh. I try to have some fun with it. I make a lot of jokes about myself and things along those lines. I never joke about the industry. I never joke about clients, things like that. That stuff doesn't make any sense to me. But I laugh all the time. I've been telling jokes as I've been doing this things. Like there's no reason this can't be fun. Okay, so you got to find some fun in the process of life and in work and things like that to keep that positive, energetic mindset going. So you keep that cycle. So find those little things that you find fun, right? Whether it be, I know some of you take, a lot of trips or weekend getaways. Those are great, but maybe for some of you, it's just, a golf outing every so often. It's a day at the spa, right? To just give yourself a little relaxation, going down to the beach, going for a walk, going for a bike ride, whatever it is that gives you that adrenaline, that excitement, those fun types of things. Make sure you're doing that on a regular basis and it's not just grind, 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 weekend, try to rest up. Oh, it's Monday again, grind, 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 so and so forth. You gotta enjoy those times. Even when you're at work, have some fun with it. That's why we created that bingo card for prospecting, right? I got cussed out. That's a box on the bingo card, right? They said I have another real estate agent. There's a box on the bingo card, right? There's ways you can have fun with this to keep it going and keep it exciting. All right. But you got to make sure you're doing that. When the fun disappears, the positive energy disappears. Okay. Now it's not going to be fun all the time, obviously, but you got to find a way to have some fun with it and things along those lines. So, plan those out. Plan out those getaways, plan out those outings, plan out those things so you also have something to look forward to. Because let's be honest, right? Are there days in our job where we're going, gosh darn, I need a break? There are days like that. Yeah. Some of you are going, yeah, usually from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Right, or whatever your hours may be. Yeah. So, but if you plan it in the calendar, you have that thing. Oh gosh, oh man, 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks. Let's fight through 2 more weeks. And then I get that, and then we're going down to the beach for a day to just relax, right? Oh man, I got that spa day planned at wherever, oh, I got the golf outing, like whatever it may be, plan that ahead of time. It gives you something to look forward to keep you going. Because if it's not there, it just looks endless. When you have that moment of like, gosh, I mean, I'm burnt out, I need a break. And you look at the calendar, you're like, I don't have shit planned for like ever. Like it's hard to keep going, right? And stay positive. So plan those things out. Find those little fun things that you could do. And, that's why we tell people it's funny when agents go, "Oh, Robert, I worked 7 days last week," and they think I'm going to be like, "Wow, good for you." That's never my. Some of you have heard me say this to you before. For you say, "I worked 7 days last week." My initial response is, "Don't ever do that again." And you think I'm going to say, "Wow, good for you, way to work hard." No, my response is, "Don't ever do that again." Well, why not? You're going to burn yourself out. There's no way to work 7 days a week because you didn't work 7 days last week because now you're also working Monday, Tuesday. Now so you're really going to be on like 13, 14 days in a row, right? By the time this week's over. It's not sustainable. You're not going to do that. Okay. So think about those, have those fun things, those positive things. Find a way to laugh at yourself throughout the business. I mean, let's be honest. There's things that happen to us every day that we can laugh at. And if you're not laughing at some of the stuff you're doing, you're just not doing enough things. Okay. I'm not going to go around the room and ask, hey, what's something that you did today that just made you laugh? Because some of you are going to be like, oh, I got somebody on the phone. And as soon as they said hello, I just went, that was the script that came out of my mouth. That's all I could muster was, and they just went, excuse me? you know? And instead of going, oh my gosh, I suck, I'm terrible, I'm never going to do this, you just laugh about it. Go, okay, that's not a real script. Let's go get the next one, right? Things along those lines. So have some fun with it, okay, to make sure that you're keeping that positive mentality going all the time. All right, good stuff. All right, couple more points I wrote down here, and we'll wrap up on again keeping that positive things going in your mindset. Is I wrote down here really this is I learned this from Kobe Bryant. Unpack what's the worst that could happen. Okay, unpack what's the worst that could happen. So what I mean by that is sometimes our mindset goes really negative because we think about the worst possible scenario, but the scenario in our mind is so much worse than reality. But we don't think about that. And it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Let me give you an example. Maybe like, okay, well, I'm going to call a bunch of people I don't know today. All right. I've got to generate some more business. I don't have a big database. I'm going to prospect a bunch of people I don't know today. Okay, great. And it's going, oh, but I mean, if they say no, what if I get cursed out and then they have my phone number and then they're going to block me and then you just come up with these scenarios in your head that is just dramatic. And then by the time you've come up with these scenarios, you're exhausted. You haven't even done a thing yet, but you're just mentally exhausted because of the scenario. And when you unpack it, the reality is, well, what's the worst that can happen? They say no, and then they hang up the phone. And that's it. That's the end of that story. They're not going to remember you. They're not going to save your number. They're not going to report you. They're not going to do a damn thing other than hang up the phone and go back to doing whatever the hell they were doing before you called them. That's it. That's the end of the story. If you called them 2 minutes later, they wouldn't remember, right? If I said, hey, this is Robert Hertel with Century 21 Masters, and like, don't ever call me again, click. And 2 minutes later, I was like, hey, this is Rob with C21. How you doing? They might go, hey, Rob, how are you? Like, gonna remember. They're not gonna be like, you tricked me. You're the same guy that called me 2 minutes ago, but you used your full name and the full company name. I'm on to you. That's not gonna happen. So we unpack it. Oh my gosh, but I'm gonna go show this property, and what if they don't like it? And then they're not gonna like me because I did. And it's just you turn this into like a whole thing, and it's like you're gonna go show a property. Worst case scenario, they say I don't like it. Find me something else. Oh, okay. But the negativity we create. See, everything we've talked up to this point is all the stuff we let in. Now I'm talking about the negativity that we create in our own heads because we over dramatize the worst thing that can happen. I, look at, I'm sure there's horror stories out there. I'm sure if I went to Google, I can find some real horror stories. I have never yet met anyone who prospected someone. That person saved their phone number, tracked down their address, came down to where they were, and like I never seen it. Okay. Okay, I've never seen those things. I'm sure we've been threatened at doors, like if you come back again, I'm going to sick my dog on you or shoot you or things like that, but I've never seen it. Okay. So you got to unpack like what's really the worst that can happen? Nothing. Okay. So now let's reverse it. Well, what's the best that could happen? Because now we've unpacked what's the worst that can happen, and really the worst that can happen is pretty much nothing. Okay. They're going to go back to doing whatever they were doing prior, and I'm just going to move on, and no one remembers, nobody cares. So nothing. Well, what's the best that could happen? They might actually be looking to buy or sell real estate, which could then lead to an appointment, which could then lead to a deal, which then could lead to me getting 10, 15, 20, 25 in some of your markets, 30, $40,000. So let's weigh the good and bad. Worst case scenario, they say no, they hang up on me, they slam the door on me, they tell me to F off, screw myself, all these other different things. And then 2 seconds later, nobody remembers. That's the worst thing that can happen. The best thing that can happen is in 90 days, I could get paid 10, 15, 20, $25,000. So what's going in your head? The fact that the over dramatized version or the reality version? See, this is all part of keeping that positive mindset is what are we feeding ourselves? Right? Because now, if I feel that dramatized version that's going inside my head, goes back to the cycle we started at the very beginning. I don't practice, I don't prospect, which means I don't get results, which means I don't get money, and then leads right back to that cycle of negativity. But if I lead with the best case scenario, hey, look, I might make a phone call. This might lead to 10, 15, 20, $25,000 down the road. Well, gosh, I better be on my game when I call them. So my practice is going to be at a high level. I see the positive opportunity. So I'm going to prospect at a really aggressive level, which is probably going to lead to more opportunities, more money, and then keeping that flow going. but it's just a choice of what we decide to put inside our own heads. All right, let me stop here for a second. Questions on anything we've gone over? Okay. The last thing I'll leave you with, because I could talk about this for 10 hours. But the last thing I'll read you this on just keeping that positive things going. And we talked about who you surround yourself with obviously makes a difference, but also expanding your mind with outside resources. This is why, Neil used to always encourage people to once a quarter go spend 2, 3, 4 days at a seminar somewhere, whether it be a Mike Ferry event or whoever it may be, to expand your mind, learn different things. Now, I know for some of you, once a quarter might be too much, but at least once or twice a year, go to a Mike Ferry event, a Tom Ferry event, a Tony Robbins event, something to expand your mind. Right? Reach out and join some mastermind groups, or it doesn't even have to be a mastermind group. Just call people every so often. I do this. I have once a month, I reach out to a different manager or broker of a company that I think is doing really well. And I just, hey, can I get 15 minutes of your time? Right? So it's not a group, but I'm constantly learning from other people. Listen to motivational speakers or people online. So it's not just who you immediately surround yourself with. Expand your mind by going to outside resources, whether it be seminars or different groups or things like that. Because the more you expand your mind, again, the more opportunities you see, the more positive things that you'll have. All right. All right. I'm going to stop there. We're almost at 1 o'clock. Questions on anything I went over today? All right. All right. Well, hopefully you got something out of this, one or two little nuggets.
I'm glad I
Uh,
showed up.
all right. There's one. So hopefully you got something out of it. But whether you got something out of this or not, just at least make sure that you are looking at your mindset and what you're working on a regular basis, because it really is that important. So take that very seriously. All right, everybody, good stuff. If you need anything from me, just let me know. If you don't need anything from me, don't let me know. But other than that, let's have a powerful week. It's July. It's listing month. It's buyer escrow month. Great opportunity. So let's take advantage. All right, go get them.
Thank you, Robert.
And for those of you up in the Bay Area, Matt and I are going to be up there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. So hopefully we'll get a chance to see some of you.